When my own daughter accused me of kidnapping the 3 children I had raised for 13 years, I knew the moment had come to reveal the truth that would change everything. What she didn't expect was the yellow envelope I had kept hidden all these years, an envelope containing documents that would expose the real reason for her sudden return. The judge's gavel echoed through the silent courtroom like thunder, and I felt each strike reverberate through my 70-year-old bones. There I sat, Margaret Williams, clutching that worn yellow envelope against my chest as if it were my last lifeline. My weathered hands trembled not from fear, but from the weight of 13 years of secrets I was finally ready to reveal. Across from me, my daughter Christine looked every inch the successful woman in her tailored navy suit, her lawyer whispering reassurances in her ear. But I could see past the polished exterior to the calculating gleam in her eyes, the same look she'd had as a teenager when she wanted something and would stop at nothing to get it. "Your Honor," Christine's voice rang out clear and confident, "my mother has unlawfully kept my children from me for 13 years. This constitutes kidnapping, and I demand immediate custody of my 3 children. Kidnapping. The word sliced through me like a blade. I glanced back at my 3 grandchildren, Michael, now 21, Sarah, 19, and little Katie, 17, sitting in the gallery with faces full of confusion and pain. These weren't just my grandchildren, they were my children in every way that mattered. Judge Harrison, a distinguished man with kind but weary eyes, peered over his glasses at me. "Mrs. Williams, how do you respond to these serious allegations?" I stood slowly, feeling every one of my 70 years in my aching joints, but my voice came out stronger than I'd expected. "Your Honor, I didn't kidnap anyone. I simply became the mother to 3 children who were abandoned on my doorstep by the very woman now standing before you." "That's a lie." Christine shot to her feet. "I was suffering from severe depression. I needed temporary help, not permanent separation from my children." Her attorney, a sharp-faced man named Davis, placed a calming hand on her arm. "Your Honor, my client was hospitalized for postpartum depression following the birth of her youngest child. Mrs. Williams took advantage of her vulnerable state to alienate the children from their biological mother." I felt the courtroom's attention shift like a tide, whispers rippling through the gallery. But I had lived this truth every single day for 13 years, through sleepless nights with sick children, through school plays where I was the only family member in attendance, through teenage heartbreaks and triumphs. "Mrs. Williams," Judge Harrison said gently, "caring for your grandchildren must have been challenging, but if the biological mother is requesting custody—" "With all due respect, Your Honor," I interrupted, surprised by the steel in my own voice, "there are facts this court needs to know before making any decision." I raised the yellow envelope high. "I have documentation that will completely change the nature of this conversation." I saw Christine's face drain of color, her confident mask slipping for just a moment. "What kind of documents?" the judge asked, leaning forward with interest. "Proof of what really happened 13 years ago, Your Honor. Proof of why my daughter is here today, and I assure you, it has nothing to do with maternal love." The silence that followed was deafening. Christine's whispered, "Mom, please don't," was barely audible, but I heard the desperation in it. "Your Honor," Attorney Davis interjected, "Mrs. Williams is attempting to deflect from the central issue. Past documents cannot change the fact that my client has legal rights to her children." I looked directly at Christine, seeing the fear now naked in her eyes. "On the contrary, these documents explain exactly why we're here today. They explain why, after 13 years of complete silence, not a single phone call, not one birthday card, not a penny for their expenses, my daughter suddenly appears with a lawyer." Judge Harrison's expression grew more serious. "Mrs. Williams, are you suggesting there are ulterior motives behind this custody suit?" "I'm not suggesting anything, Your Honor. I'm stating it as fact, and I have the evidence to prove it." The judge nodded slowly. "Very well. But before we examine these documents, I'd like to hear your full account of what happened 13 years ago. Tell us how these children came to be in your care." I closed my eyes briefly, transporting myself back to that cold October day that changed all our lives forever. It was a Tuesday afternoon, Your Honor. I was in my kitchen preparing tea when I heard frantic knocking at my door. When I opened it, I found Christine standing there with 3 young children. Michael was 8, Sarah was 6, and Katie had just turned 4. I could feel the courtroom hanging on every word. The children were dirty, hungry, and frightened. Katie was still in a soiled diaper that obviously hadn't been changed in hours. Michael's shoes had holes so large I could see his bare feet through them. Sarah's hair was matted and unwashed. Christine shifted uncomfortably in her chair, unable to meet my gaze. My daughter entered my home like a whirlwind, I continued. She carried one plastic bag with some of the children's clothes, all wrinkled and dirty. She told me she needed me to keep them for a little while, until she could sort things out. When I asked what kind of things, she just kept saying she'd be back soon. And then what happened? Judge Harrison prompted gently. She gave each child a hurried kiss and left in a waiting taxi. The children ran to the window, crying and calling for their mommy, but she was already gone. My voice caught slightly. That was the last time they saw their mother for 13 years. The courtroom was absolutely still. I could hear my own heartbeat, the rustle of the court reporter's fingers on her keys, the quiet sobbing of one of my grandchildren behind me. The first night was the hardest, I continued. Michael kept asking when mommy was coming back. I told him soon because I believed it myself. Katie cried for her teddy bear that had been left at Christine's apartment. Sarah, bless her heart, helped me make dinner with her little hands, as if she understood that everything had changed. Judge Harrison made notes as I spoke. Did you attempt to contact your daughter or report the situation to authorities? I tried to reach her, Your Honor, but she had moved without leaving a forwarding address. I went to her old apartment building, but the landlord told me she had abandoned the lease, leaving 3 months of unpaid rent. He gave me a box of belongings she'd left behind, including some of the children's important documents. I paused, looking at Christine. She was staring at her hands, tears streaming down her cheeks. Days turned into weeks, then months. I enrolled the children in school near my house. I used my modest pension to feed and clothe them. My neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, helped me care for them when I took on extra work cleaning houses on weekends to make ends meet. Did you seek legal guardianship? The judge asked. Yes, Your Honor. When Katie became seriously ill with pneumonia and needed to be hospitalized, the doctors required parental consent and insurance information I didn't have. That's when I realized I needed legal authority to care for them properly. I straightened in my chair. I hired an attorney with my life savings, $800 I couldn't spare. We followed all legal procedures, including publishing notices in the newspaper as required by law, attempting to locate Christine to notify her of the guardianship proceedings. No one responded. And you were granted guardianship? Yes, Your Honor. 10 years ago, this very court granted me legal guardianship of all 3 children. For the required 3-year period, we continued to search for their biological mother. She never appeared, never called, never sent so much as a postcard. Christine finally looked up, her makeup streaked with tears. I was sick, she said desperately. I had severe depression. I couldn't take care of them in that condition. Please remain seated, Judge Harrison ordered firmly. Continue, Mrs. Williams. The children thrived under my care, Your Honor. Michael graduated high school with honors and earned a full scholarship to engineering school. Sarah won state competitions in poetry and literature. Katie learned to play piano and formed a band at school. I attended every parent-teacher conference, every school play, every soccer game. I celebrated every birthday, nursed them through every illness, and helped them through every challenge of growing up. I looked back at my grandchildren, seeing Michael nod with tears in his eyes. I never lied to them about their mother. I showed them pictures of her from when they were babies. I told them she loved them but wasn't able to take care of them at the time. I saved every drawing they made for her, hoping she would return one day to claim them. And during these 13 years, was there any contact from the biological mother? Judge Harrison asked. Not once, Your Honor. Complete silence until 2 months ago, when she appeared at my door with her attorney demanding custody. The judge leaned forward intently. What changed after 13 years of absence? I smiled grimly and lifted the yellow envelope. That answer, Your Honor, lies in these documents. Judge Harrison extended his hand. Please approach and present your evidence. I stood carefully, my arthritic knees protesting, but determination overriding any physical discomfort. As I walked toward the bench, I could hear Christine's panicked whisper to her lawyer, but I couldn't make out the words. Your Honor, Attorney Davis said, rising quickly, I request that any documents be examined by both parties before admission into evidence. Of course, the judge replied. Mrs. Williams, please give the documents to the clerk for review. I opened the envelope with hands that barely trembled, revealing photographs, handwritten letters, receipts, and several folded papers that held the heart of this entire story. Let's start with these, I said, pulling out a packet of photographs tied with a red ribbon. These are photos I took the day Christine left the children with me. The judge examined each photo, his expression growing increasingly grave. Describe what we see in these images. The first shows Michael in torn, filthy clothing, his shoes completely worn through. The second is Sarah with dried food on her face and hair that clearly hadn't been washed in days. The third is Katie in a soiled diaper with visible rash marks on her legs. Christine buried her face in her hands as the photos were passed to her attorney, who showed them to her with visible disgust. I took these photos on the advice of my neighbor, who was a retired nurse, I explained. She told me to document everything, not to use against Christine, but to have a record of the children's condition when they came to me. Now these, I continued, pulling out a bundle of letters. These are letters Christine wrote to me during the first 6 months after leaving the children. Judge Harrison examined the handwritten pages. These are in your daughter's handwriting? Yes, Your Honor. I'd recognize it anywhere. I looked at Christine. Would you like to tell the court what those letters say, or shall I? Christine remained silent, but her lawyer took the letters with trembling hands. His expression changed dramatically as he read. In the first letter, dated 3 weeks after she left the children, I said clearly, Christine wrote that she had met a man named Robert Martinez and was moving to another state with him. She asked me to keep the children a bit longer, because Robert didn't want the immediate responsibility of a ready-made family. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. Christine's sobs grew louder. In the second letter, she informed me that she was pregnant with Robert's child and couldn't return for the children because he had threatened to leave her if she brought baggage from her past into their new life. She was pregnant? Judge Harrison asked with surprise. Yes, Your Honor. My daughter had another child with Robert Martinez, a son, who is now 12 years old and lives with them. A child she was able to raise because it fit her new relationship. My grandchildren exchanged shocked glances. This was news to them. I had never told them about their half-brother, not wanting to hurt them further. In the third letter, I continued, my voice growing harder, Christine asked me to sign legal documents officially giving up any claim to her children so she could start fresh without legal complications. She offered me $500 for the inconvenience of caring for her children up to that point. Attorney Davis had gone pale. This information clearly wasn't part of the story his client had told him. Did you sign those papers? The judge asked. No, Your Honor. I wrote back telling her I didn't want her money, but if she truly wanted to disappear from our lives, she should do it completely. I told her not to contact us again unless she was genuinely ready to be a mother. I pulled another document from the envelope. This is her response, the last communication we had for 13 years until 2 months ago. The judge read the letter, his expression hardening noticeably. Please read this aloud for the court record. I took the paper with steady hands, my voice clear and strong. Mom, fine. I won't bother you anymore. Take care of the kids because I have my own family now. If anyone asks, just tell them their mother had to move away for work. I don't want them to suffer anymore. Goodbye, Christine. The tears flowing down my grandchildren's faces were audible now. Michael stood as if to come to me, but Sarah gently stopped him. For 13 years, Your Honor, I honored that decision. I never searched for my daughter. I never tried to contact her. I raised her children with love, sacrifice, and what few resources I had, always hoping that someday she would mature and return for the right reasons. And why do you believe she has returned now? Judge Harrison asked. I smiled sadly as I pulled the final documents from the envelope. Because 3 months ago, Your Honor, my brother Thomas Williams, who lived in Arizona and had no children of his own, passed away and left his estate to his great-nieces and nephew. The judge's interest sharpened. And what does that have to do with this case? My brother left $60,000 to each of my grandchildren, Your Honor. But the inheritance can only be claimed through their legal guardian, either their mother or myself, and only when they reach the age of 21. Christine's sobs became uncontrollable, and her lawyer looked like he was considering abandoning the case entirely. But here's what makes this particularly interesting, I continued, pulling out the last papers. This is a private investigation report I commissioned after Christine suddenly appeared with legal threats. It shows that exactly 2.5 months ago, right after she learned about the inheritance, she hired attorney Davis and began researching how to gain access to the children's inheritance money. Objection! Davis shouted. That investigation violates my client's privacy. The investigation is completely legal, I replied calmly. I hired a licensed private investigator after my daughter appeared at my door making threats. I had every right to protect my grandchildren's interests. Judge Harrison banged his gavel. Order. Mrs. Williams, is there anything else in that envelope the court should know about? I looked at the envelope, now much lighter, but still containing the most devastating evidence of all. Yes, Your Honor. There's one more thing, something even my grandchildren don't know about yet. The courtroom held its collective breath as I reached into the envelope one final time. Your Honor, when I cleaned out Christine's abandoned apartment 13 years ago, I found this hidden under some papers in a drawer. I held up a single sheet of paper, folded and refolded so many times the creases were permanent. What is it? The judge asked. A handwritten document, Your Honor. Written and signed by Christine 3 days after she left the children with me. Christine went white as a sheet. No, she whispered. Please, Mom, don't. I unfolded the paper carefully and read in a clear, strong voice. I, Christine Williams, age 26, voluntarily give up all rights to my children. Michael Williams, age 8, Sarah Williams, age 6, and Katie Williams, age 4. I acknowledge that I cannot provide them with the care they need and deserve. I authorize my mother, Margaret Williams, to make all legal, medical, and educational decisions for my children. I waive all rights to contact, visit, or claim them in the future. This decision is final. Signed, Christine Williams, dated October 18, 2010. The silence that followed was so complete you could have heard a pin drop. Furthermore, I continued, I have a witness to this document. Mrs. Patricia Sterling, the landlady of Christine's apartment building, saw her writing this letter and can testify that she was coherent and acting of her own free will when she wrote it. Attorney Davis was whispering frantically to Christine, but she was beyond hearing him. But there's more, Your Honor, I said, pulling out a final folder. My investigation also revealed that Christine and Robert Martinez are facing severe financial difficulties. 6 months ago, Robert lost his job. 4 months ago, they received an eviction notice. 3 months ago, exactly when they learned about my brother's inheritance, they began proceedings to gain custody of my grandchildren. Judge Harrison reviewed the documents with growing disapproval. Are you stating that the timing is not coincidental? I'm stating that it's completely calculated, Your Honor. And I have proof. I took a deep breath. 1 week ago, Christine called me for the first time in 13 years. Even my grandchildren looked shocked I hadn't told them about this call. What did she say? She told me she had changed, that she was ready to be a mother again, and that she wanted her children back. When I asked why now, after so long, she said she had been saving money to provide them with a better life. I paused dramatically. Then I asked her about my brother's inheritance. There was a long silence before she said, Mom, that money belongs to my children. I just want to make sure they get it at the right time. And your response? I told her the children already had access to their inheritance through me as their legal guardian, and that the money was safely invested until each of them turned 21. That's when her tone changed completely. Christine was sobbing uncontrollably now, but I continued relentlessly. She told me that as their biological mother, she had more right to control that inheritance than I did. She said she had consulted with a lawyer and could fight me for custody. She threatened me, Your Honor. How did she threaten you? She said that if I didn't voluntarily transfer custody and control of the inheritance to her, she would accuse me of kidnapping. She said she had witnesses who would testify that I had deliberately kept the children from her. She told me that any judge would side with a biological mother over a grandmother. Michael suddenly stood up. Grandma, why didn't you tell us she threatened you? Because I didn't want you to worry more than you already had, I replied softly. And because I knew the truth would come out when it needed to. Judge Harrison banged his gavel. Young man, please be seated. Mrs. Williams, do you have proof of these threats? Yes, Your Honor. After that phone call, Christine sent me several text messages repeating her threats. Messages that are saved on my phone and printed for the court. I handed over the printouts, and the judge read them with increasing disgust. Please read some of these messages to the court, he requested. I took the papers and read clearly. Text from July 15th. Mom, think carefully. I'm their biological mother and any judge will side with me. Don't make this harder than it has to be. I continued. July 17th. I've been talking to my lawyer. He says what you did could be considered kidnapping. You could go to jail. And the final message, July 19th. Mom, if you give me custody voluntarily, we can split the inheritance. You keep half for taking care of them, I keep half because I'm their mother. But if you force me to trial, I take everything. Judge Harrison set the documents down and stared at Christine with obvious disdain. Mrs. Williams, do you confirm sending these messages? Christine was beyond speech, collapsed in her chair and sobbing. Your Honor, I said quietly, I want to make clear that I'm not seeking revenge against my daughter. I understand she faced challenges as a young mother. I understand that mental health issues can lead to desperate decisions. I looked at Christine with sadness mixed with resolve. But what I cannot accept is that after 13 years of complete absence, after formally abandoning her parental rights, after building a new family and completely forgetting these children existed, she now returns solely because money is involved. What do you request from this court? Judge Harrison asked. I request that my permanent guardianship of Sarah and Katie be confirmed, that Christine's custody demand be rejected completely, and that a restraining order be issued preventing her from contacting any of the children unless they, as adults, choose to contact her voluntarily. You can't keep my children from me forever, Christine screamed. I turned to her with an expression mixing pain and determination. Christine, I'm not keeping anything from you. You gave them away 13 years ago. I'm simply protecting what you abandoned. Judge Harrison called a 30-minute recess to review the evidence. As the courtroom emptied, my grandchildren surrounded me with their arms in an embrace that said more than words ever could. Grandma, Katie whispered. Why didn't you ever tell us she had given us up in writing? Because I wanted you to form your own opinions about your mother when you were old enough to understand. I didn't want you to grow up with hatred in your hearts. Michael squeezed my hand. But you let us hope she might come back. I held on to that hope too, my dear. But when she called me last week, I knew immediately she hadn't returned for you. She had returned for the money. During the recess, Christine approached us slowly, her lawyer trailing behind looking defeated. Mom, she said with a broken voice, can we talk privately? We moved to a quiet corner of the hallway. I know I made terrible mistakes, she began, but I've changed. I really have. Have you changed, Christine, or do you just need money? My question was direct but not cruel. She looked down. Both are true. Yes, I need the money, but I've also missed my children all these years. You had 13 years to miss them, Christine. 13 years to call, write, or send a Christmas card. 13 years to ask if they needed anything, or if they remembered you. I was scared they would hate me. Then why now? Why, after 13 years of fear, do you suddenly have courage to fight for them in court? Christine leaned against the wall as if needing support. Because Robert told me that if I didn't try to get my children and their inheritance back, he would leave me. He said he couldn't stay with a woman who had given away $180,000. The honesty of her confession caught me off guard. Then you haven't changed at all, I said sadly. 13 years ago, you abandoned your children because a man demanded it. Today, you're here because a man demanded it. It's not that simple, she protested. It's exactly that simple, Christine. You make your decisions based on what men want, not what your children need. When we returned to the courtroom, Judge Harrison looked grimmer than before. After reviewing all evidence presented, he began solemnly, I find this case deeply disturbing. Mrs. Christine Williams, you voluntarily abandoned your parental rights 13 years ago, both in writing and through your actions. You formed a new family while completely ignoring the children you left behind. You have now returned not out of love, but purely for financial gain. And you have threatened your own mother with false accusations to achieve your goals. Christine tried to speak, but the judge held up his hand. The evidence clearly shows that these children have thrived under Mrs. Margaret Williams' care. They are well educated, emotionally healthy, and have strong moral foundations. They have explicitly stated their preference to remain with their grandmother, who has been their real mother for 13 years. He looked directly at Christine. Your behavior constitutes not only child abandonment, but also attempted extortion. I am referring this case to the district attorney's office for possible criminal charges. No, please, Christine cried out. Judge Harrison continued. However, Mrs. Margaret Williams has chosen not to press charges against you, showing more compassion than you deserve. He banged his gavel firmly. This court hereby rules. Permanent guardianship of Sarah Williams and Katie Williams is confirmed with Mrs. Margaret Williams. A 5-year restraining order is issued against Christine Williams. The custody petition filed by Christine Williams is dismissed with prejudice, and she is barred from filing similar suits in the future without substantial evidence of changed circumstances. Christine collapsed completely as I walked over to her. Christine, I said softly, placing my hand on her tear-stained cheek. I forgave you long ago, but forgiveness doesn't mean I can allow you to hurt these children again. What am I going to do now? She whispered like a lost child. You're going to go home and take care of the child you have. You're going to work on becoming a better person. And maybe someday when you've truly changed, my grandchildren will decide if they want to know you. As we left the courthouse, I felt a strange mixture of victory and sadness. I had won the legal battle but lost hope that my daughter had returned for the right reasons. But when my grandchildren surrounded me with their arms in the courthouse hallway, I knew I had made the right choice. Sometimes love means protecting those you love, even when it hurts someone you also love. 3 years have passed since that day in court. Michael graduated from engineering school and now works for a prestigious firm. Sarah is studying journalism in college on a full scholarship. Katie, now 20, leads her college's debate team and volunteers at the local children's center. The inheritance remains safely invested, managed by a trust fund established to ensure the children receive it when they're ready to handle such responsibility. Christine's restraining order expires next year, but none of the children have expressed interest in contacting her. Sometimes people ask if I regret the harsh stand I took against my own daughter. The answer is no. I don't hate Christine, but I don't excuse her either. I understand that motherhood can be overwhelming, that mental health struggles are real, but I also understand that abandoning your children is a choice that defines who you are as a person. Christine chose her new life over her children. I chose those children over my comfort. We both live with the consequences of our decisions. The difference is that I sleep peacefully at night knowing I always put the children's well-being first. If there's one lesson from all this, it's that real love doesn't abandon, negotiate, or set conditions. It simply exists constant as sunrise, strong as the roots of an old tree, quiet as a prayer that never ends. My grandchildren are now successful, compassionate adults who contribute positively to the world. They are living proof that unconditional love and firm boundaries can coexist. They call me Mom, and I've earned that title through 13 years of sacrifice, love, and protection. That's enough for me. It's more than enough. The greatest inheritance I could leave them isn't money, it's the knowledge that someone loved them enough to never give up, never walk away, and always fight for their happiness. And in the end, that kind of love is the only inheritance that truly matters. If this story touched your heart, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Your support means everything to me, and it helps me continue sharing these important stories about family, love, and standing up for what's right.